Well, welcome everybody. My name is Todd Millard. I am the CEO of Crossvale, and special thanks to Red Hat for helping host this webinar. Very interesting subject matter we're going to talk about today: unlocking OpenShift for COTS, accelerating container confidence with PodOps. So we'll get rolling on this, and today, spend just a little bit, a couple minutes, just talk about Crossvale a little bit so you know who we are, where we're coming from. Award-winning platform engineering containerization organization. The majority of the work we do is in helping organizations with containerization, whether you're moving to containers, whether you already have containers, whether you need help on the app dev side, or whether you need help on the operations side. This is where the bulk of our work is done. We specialize in this area and do it in the US and EMEA, multiple offices across the globe there. Been in business 23 years. We do also have 24/7 support, won a bunch of awards and accolades throughout our tenure around containerization. So big Red Hat partner. Call out, go to Arrow as well, who's one of our partners, who invited some of their customers. Dell's a big partner of ours as well. IBM, Red Hat, all of these guys, we help support their platforms and the containerization aspect of those platforms as well. Today, the agenda will be, we're going to understand the shift. So what's going on with VMs to containers? What to do to bridge the skills gap. Talk about managed container platform engineering. And then talk a bit about time and budget solutions that are out there, which is near and dear to everybody's heart on, how do you get the time and budget to take care of these problems? So first, the insight I would like to make sure everybody grasps today is the ISV providers. So those organizations out there that are building COTS applications have simplified the adoption of container technologies for you, and any delay in taking advantage of this is a direct loss of your quality of life. And I'm going to walk through this today so you understand that moving to containers or taking advantage of containerization today is much easier than it has been in the past. And we'll walk through the understanding of this and how to solve this particular problem. So again, ISVs have simplified the adoption of container technologies for you. And any delay in taking advantage of this is a direct loss of quality of life. And we'll talk about the quality of life a little bit later on what we're talking about there. So first, we're going to talk about understanding the shift. And if you have any questions, please throw the questions into the chat, and we can get to the questions at the end, and we can make sure we address any questions that you have. So the chat mechanism is there for that. But containerization is the most effective, efficient, stable way to maintain your application infrastructure. And this, whether you're utilizing it today or utilizing it partially today, this is the trend that is happening, is moving to containerization because it is the most effective, efficient, stable way to maintain your application infrastructure. Now, some may argue this because they've tried it and struggled, and this is obviously, when you do it right, you're going to be able to get the value out of this. But we take a look at the long history of containers. Containerization is not new. The technology started, back in 2004. Google was using C groups at scale. CoreOS, the operating system that underpins OpenShift, was released in 2013. Kubernetes 1.0 released almost 10 years ago. IBM bought Red Hat mostly for OpenShift for $34 billion. By 2020, nearly 90% of all containers are using container orchestration. And then by 2025, we're looking at 95% of new digital workloads will deploy cloud native. So the point here is, this is not old technology. This technology has been around and been maturing for a very long time. And this is why, if you take a look at over the last 6 years, how much has really gone on in the container marketplace to really drive more adoption of this, is super, super important to understand. We'll talk about why. So why is the IT world shifting to containerization? And what it really comes down to is if we think about the most you know the VM version of hosting your applications, you deal with your infrastructure, then you have your host operating system, your hypervisor that's sitting above that. Then there's a guest OS, the bins and libraries, and your app running. So there's a lot of overhead involved to be able to get this virtualization. Now, obviously, virtualization revolutionized the world when it came out, and VMware really kind of won that. And then as cloud providers came out, obviously they also have done well in virtualization. But when we look at containers, why is containerization something that is driving a lot of adoption, and what is better about that when it just comes to infrastructure or your operations? So you take a look at, you have your infrastructure, then your host operating system, then your container engine sitting above that. And then now you have more room to run your bins and libraries and your applications. So there's a lot more efficiency you can get out of your infrastructure. So as you're moving to containers, it's part of it is about squeezing more out of your infrastructure. Is one part of the reason why people are moving there. And if we take a look at what's going on also, like in today's world with VMware and the Broadware or the Broadcom buyout on there, there's some other reasons why people are motivated to kind of move from VMs and move into a different solution to help with budgets or issues that may be happening to the budgets. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. But also when we take a look at OpenShift, which is Red Hat's enterprise version of Kubernetes, it also has a operating system, Core OS, that is specifically tuned for running OpenShift. So now you even have a more efficient use of the infrastructure by having a operating system that is specially designed specifically for the container platform. So now you even have better use of your infrastructure. And if we take a look at the advantages of containers over virtualization as we're understanding this shift. So one big advantage is increased portability. So why that is important is because now it gets rid of vendor lock-in. So you're not in a point that you run in one environment or run in another environment. If you have a containerized version of your application, it can be portable across many different environments. This is really important to why the ISVs are containerizing their COTS solutions, because having it portable makes it easier for them to deploy it or have their customers deploy it into their own environments. This is one of the big major factors as an ISV to containerize, because that portability simplifies their life when it comes to support and having to know everything that's going on in every different type of possible environment it could be running in. So portability is a big factor on there. Improved scalability. People are moving to containers because the container orchestration engines have built-in solutions to be able to improve scalability. And also when it comes to why people are containerizing, we take a look at the legacy applications that may be built as a monolith. And as you scale those monoliths, you have to build another VM, you have to put the whole monolith in there, and maybe only part of that monolith really is what needs to be scaled. So breaking applications down into microservices is another big factor in containerization, because now you can just scale the microservice that actually is getting the demand. Simple and fast deployment. So containerization has really helped drive DevOps in a way to build CI/CD pipelines in a way that can really simplify your life when it comes to improving fast deployment. So whether you're on a 90-day release cycle today or 60 days, 30 days, whatever it may be, there is many improvements that can be made on how quickly you're able to make feature changes or changes in applications and get those out. So this is another reason why we take a look at the ISVs and offering as a containerized app. This gives them a simpler way to be able to help their customers deploy those changes, and changes can happen quicker. Enhance productivity. So if you have application teams that are building applications, self-service environments inside container applications, especially like OpenShift, simplify your ability to have them focus on coding and less time focused on the administration of what it takes to be able to build that code. And then improve security. There's many different solutions that have built around container environments that have improved security, and the way that the container orchestration engines have separated things in there has helped with security as well. And that's a whole entire webinar we can go into around security. But when we look at container orchestration, what we're really talking about is Kubernetes. Kubernetes has won the game on container orchestration. So when you are looking at a container platform on where, which platform that you should use, you need to make sure that you're looking at one that is going to be Kubernetes based, because that is the standard today. And they have really won the game because they've solved problems around automated scaling, self-healing capabilities, automated rollouts and rollbacks, horizontal scaling and load balancing. They simplify that among many other things. But the point to understand here is when it comes to container orchestration, if you're looking at containers, Kubernetes is where it's at from a engine that you need to make sure that you have as part of that environment that you're working in. But I said Kubernetes is an engine. So I look at Kubernetes as the engine, and the distributions out there that are now surrounding other projects around Kubernetes as kind of the whole semi-tractor trailer that gets your data from one place to another. So you take a look at OpenShift, and OpenShift, what it brings to the table is all these other factors out here that Kubernetes comes in with these standard features that is driving container orchestration. But then there's many pieces around with OpenShift that bring to the table, like source to image, like software defined networking, the deployment configuration, image streams. All of these are factors that simplify your ability to manage the containers and operate your containers. So this is why, and we'll go into some details a little bit later around some of the projects that OpenShift brings to the table. But so when you're looking at what's going on in the shift is people moving from VMs, they're moving to containers. They're orchestrating those containers in Kubernetes-based orchestration. And then OpenShift actually brings a bunch more projects together around the Kubernetes engine to be able to simplify it for enterprises and harden it for enterprises. So it becomes an enterprise-grade solution when you add Kubernetes, or when you add OpenShift to Kubernetes. So as we look at the shift, we have to look at who's affected. So whether you're an ISV, this is a must-do. This is not optional. So why I say this is a must-do or not optional? The ISVs that are selling COTS to enterprises are doing several things. They're building a SaaS option for you. So as the enterprise could purchase their solution through a SaaS offering where they are actually running it and hosting it themselves. And many of them have rebuilt those SaaS offerings using containers, because that simplifies their orchestration and their operations of that SaaS offering. But also as other competitors of theirs are building applications or improving their applications, and if they containerize their applications and offer those to their customers, that gives their competitors a competitive edge if they're not containerized. And this is why the ISVs are out there kind of pushing a lot of this in the containerization space and offering containers to enterprises that are now certified containers that they're maintaining, because it's cheaper for them to do that in the long run. Now today, they're managing both environments. They're managing the old monoliths, plus they have the container environment. So it is in the ISV's best interest to make sure as many of their customers as possible adopt containers so that they can move into only having to support the container environment. And we're seeing that in some ISVs that are announcing that the old VM deployment model will not be available, and they will have to take it in a container. And I'll show you a few of those a little bit later. But the VARs and the SIs out there are moving into working in containers to stay relevant because there's demand that's coming from the end clients that need to understand about how do I deal with container orchestration? How do I deal with this COTS solution that I have that is now offered to me in a container, and I need to understand how to actually take advantage of this container, or in some cases, I'm forced to take advantage of the container deployment. And then the end clients are either leading or following market conditions. So what I mean here is, leading in market conditions could be end clients that have a lot of application development, and they're looking at ways to improve their application development and improve efficiencies in that area. And they found that moving to containerization is giving them the solutions that they need about improving the speed on their application development so that they can be better at feature changes and updates and security and having better customer experiences. But following market conditions also is what we're seeing today, where many are moving to containers because of a COTS critical solution they're using is forcing them to move to containers. So in your environments, you may look and see what critical COTS solutions do you have, and which ones of those are actually offered as a container today, because that means your ISV that is offering that independent software vendor that's offering that is maintaining not only the old monolith, but also maintaining the new containers and spending the time and effort to keep feature parity on both of these. So this means at some point in the future, they will be moving to the point where they stop offering the monolith that's deployed in a VM, and they will only offer the container because ultimately that's going to be the best cost model for them. So we take a look at the ISVs that are offering certified containers, and this is just an example of a few different categories like network management, system management, business intelligence. You're finding solutions in business analytics, CMSs, DMSs, CRMs, ERPs, all different types of systems out there that are now either available in a container for you to deploy, or that is already at a point where you are forced to actually have to take it in a container. And some of these, just some names to throw out there, things like IBM Maximo is an IBM product that they have a deadline on it that you'll have to take it in a container. There's SAP products out there that SAP is containerized and is now offering to their customers. You got SaaS products like SaaS Via, more IBM stuff that's out there. Many solutions that are offered in containers, and big names behind these, because it is the wave of the future. And if you're not looking at it now, and this is not something that you have started to use in your environments, this is something that now is the time to start understanding what it's going to take to become container competent. And the reason why I say now is the time is because when we look at peer adoption and the adoption curve, we're sitting in the early majority today. So years have gone by with the innovators in the early 2000s and up to the mid 2010s. And then the early adopters in the late half of the 2010s have been in there taking advantage of containerization and getting the value out of that. Many of those are ISVs, the big ISVs that are out there that are understanding the value in it. But as we move into the early majority, this is the time that the big value is that you're going to be able to take advantage because there's other people have created certified containers for you. They're keeping up with the application. They're making sure that the application in those containers are updated, and you're now just needing to orchestrate those. The early adopters had to actually refactor their applications, had to figure out how to containerize the application that they have and then make it work properly. And then how do they take advantage of the container orchestration environments? How do they deal with data? How do they deal with networking? All of those things. And a lot of that stuff has been worked out, and there's many CNCF projects out there to help simplify those problems for you. So as we're in the early majority, now's the time to really take a look at what am I doing to capitalize on containerization. So what's driving this shift? And so if you take a look at this chart here, the red is COTS over time, and the gray is other apps over time, meaning you're doing your own application, internal application deployment. Regardless of whether your environment is a lot of ISV COTS or whether it is your own application development, the adoption is continuing to go up and up. So the adoption of the COTS providers out there pushing people to in containers is driving the shift that you must have a way to be container competent. The other big shift on here as well is VMware with the Broadcom buyout. And everybody out there has started to see some changes in how VMware is being offered from their license model, and seeing increases, some 75%, 100, multi-100% increases in VMware. So people are starting to really take a look at what size is my VM environment, and is there a way I could reduce this size to offset some of the additional costs that I'm going to have to pay to maintain the VMware environment. And VMware is a exceptional product, but as the shift is going on towards containers, there will be less and less need for VMware in the VMware environments as we're running in container orchestration platforms like OpenShift. So there's really hidden budget that's out there because people are taking a look at, well, what would my cost be if I do nothing? Well, my cost is going to go up no matter what. My cost of either maintaining the application or what COTS, the cost of the COTS is going to go up if you're not using the containerized version, and then as well as the cost of the VMware is going up. So there's hidden budget out there that people are starting to understand. I need to spend the money now so I can take advantage of this so I don't get hit with huge costs later. And so that's a big driving factor on those that have kind of waited until we're sitting in the early majority and said, okay, now's the time to really start taking advantage of this. When we take a look at then what we just talked about on what's driving this shift: infrastructure efficiency, flexibility, workload automation, enterprise grade solution, everyone is affected. Best value is to start now, not wait, and that there is hidden budget out there to be able to get this done. So if we take a look at ISVs have simplified the adoption of container technologies for you, and any delay is taking any delay in taking advantage of this is a direct loss of the quality of your life. I'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. But I want to make sure people understand ISVs have simplified this because the containers they're providing to you, they are maintaining. So there's a lot of the work that is already being done and maintained for you that you will not have to continue to do because the ISVs are doing that for you. So it makes it easier to adopt container technologies today. Examples of how this affects the quality of your life. So this is important. If you're an IT manager, by not adopting these simplified container technologies, may prolong project timelines and increase complexities in employment or in deployment, which can lead to longer hours and more stress, thus impacting your quality of life. So your IT manager's quality of life will continue to be affected out there. Developers who do not utilize these streamlined container technologies might spend additional time on manual tasks instead of leveraging what the containers is offering out there. This can lead to frustration and hinder their professional growth. Ops teams are affected. I won't go into all of this. We'll send out a copy of this, but regardless of whether you're a human resources professional, a finance person, whether you are a product manager, whether you're a sales professional, everybody is being affected. Their quality of life is being affected by the choice of an organization not to utilize containerization because of all the values containerization brings to the organization to be more efficient. And everybody's in demand today to have more efficiency. Executives who delay in leveraging containerization may miss out on competitive advantages like faster time to market and cost savings. This can translate to increased pressure and stress due to not meeting business objectives or shareholder expectations. This is a huge one here. When it really comes down to it, customer experiences are huge inside our industries today, and containerization gets you the capability of providing better customer experiences. So the big question is, how do I get the question to come up? How do you get this done when you currently don't have the skills, the time, or the budget for this? And this is the reason why there's many on this call that probably have already looked and said, yeah, I totally understand all the reasons why we should be adopting this, why we should be refactoring our applications, why we should be deploying databases in containers, why we should be leveraging cloud more, why we should take these COTS solutions that are now offered in containers. Many of you are saying, but they're going, I don't have the skills, I can't get the people, we don't have the time to solve this, and where's the budget going to come from? So we're not going to do anything until we're being forced to do something. And so what this really comes down to is, the skills gap. How do you get this done when you currently don't have the skills? So a big part of this is finding the skills. There's steep competition for quality proven engineers. And anybody who's gone out there and tried recruiting for these engineers, their costs have gone up immensely, with nearly 46% of IT decision makers saying that they find it hard to attract the right talent to help manage their clouds. There's not enough of them out there. And so this is a major factor on being able to develop these skills that you have. The other aspect of this is affording the skills. So the majority of the top engineers get swooped up by organizations where they can expect to drive higher impact, where they can expect to also be paid higher. So it's hard for organizations, especially mid-sized organizations that are trying to solve these problems, but the skills are being or the engineers are being paid much higher at larger organizations, or much higher salary brackets at larger organizations, and it makes it more difficult to be able to afford the skills. And then retaining the skills. So even if you do find someone, you figure out how to actually interview them and you get a good one. Now you also have the issue with people trying to recruit them away, because everybody else is also needing these same type of resources. So it becomes even difficult. And we've run into this with clients many times where we've come in and started to help them because they've actually had several resources that were key resources, and then they got recruited away and they were left with not having that skill set anymore. And it becomes scary when you're dependent upon certain people and they could easily leave. And the reason why it's super important to have the right skills is if we take the average cost of downtime across all industries, $5,600 a minute, Fortune 500 companies, $1 million an hour. Long outages can cause reputation damage. And there's over 34,000 Kubernetes unfilled jobs in the US. So the cost of having the right skills is much more than just the salary that you're paid. If something goes wrong, if you have an environment and it's not able to maintain what it needs to, and you have a problem in that environment, there is huge costs involved. So it's a matter of how do I get not only the skills, but how do I have the safety net and the confidence that no matter what happens as we move to this new paradigm, that I can trust that things are going to work. And what even makes this more difficult is when organizations try to do this on their own with DIY, the complexities of the skills, especially when it comes to an enterprise solution, there's a lot of different skills that you need to have. So even like OpenShift owns 40% of the market share. So we'll talk a little bit about brands that own 40% of the market share. And the reason why is because it takes all of these different features and all of these different projects and rolls them into this enterprise Kubernetes solution to provide you with the very best platform on the planet to solve this problem for you. But it also means you need to have skilled resources that understand how to utilize these projects, how to utilize these features, and how to make sure you're getting the most out of them. As I continue to go through all the different projects and all the different features that OpenShift brings to the table. So when I say OpenShift owns 46% of the market share, we look at similar brands that have greater than 40% market share. Brands like Coca-Cola. When you put Visa and MasterCard together, they make up that much. When you put Apple and Samsung together in the Samsung or in the smartphone market, they make up that kind of market share. McDonald's globally only has half of that market share. So when we say OpenShift has 46% market share, it is huge that they have done that well. And this is the major reason why IBM bought OpenShift, because of the success of how this platform has been designed. So when we take a look at how do you bridge the skills gap, we're not alone. Many have the same desire, need, even thirst to capitalize on these innovations and are having problems with solving the skills gap. This is a big issue today. And how are we doing it? People are doing this with hire consultants to do short-term enablement. So we see that often, and especially in the earlier years, this was often a situation where you had a use case, you come in, you hire a consultant, build this environment for me. Okay, teach my guys kind of how to use this, give us a checklist, and then go on your way. So we want you in here real quick, get this done, get out. Well, what we've seen over the years is because people aren't learning how to dynamically tune, and as the platform changes, it makes it difficult then for you to continue to grow that platform, get new applications onboarded in there, and understand as things go wrong, how to dynamically make configuration changes in the platform. So that's one option, is definitely do it with consultants. Another option, train existing staff on new platforms, so upskilling. So regardless of what you do, this is going to be part of your plan. You're definitely going to want to take resources that you have and upskill them so that they understand how the new platform works. And whether these become SMEs inside your organization or whether they become a generalist that understands it, you definitely are going to have part of your solution around resources that you currently have that learn new skills. And then the other part is hire, retain engineers with experience in these container technologies. And this is the things where there's many people fighting over these engineers. Very costly and hard to retain these engineers. And this is where, when you have a dependency on a very specific person that is inside your organization that owns the understanding of this platform, and that person leaves, it puts you in a situation that's difficult for you to maintain that platform. So the solution is finding a managed container platform engineering solution that can come in, that can bridge this gap for you on the skills gap. So helping bring the skills to the table, as well as training the people that you currently have to be able to solve this problem, so that you have a complete safety net, that you understand how that platform can be managed over time. And if something does go wrong, you have specialists that are focused on solving the problem for your particular ecosystem. And I understand if you go with different software providers, such as we talked about Red Hat, we talked about OpenShift, they have a support team for the platform. But you still need to have subject matter experts to be able to engage with the Red Hat team to be able to then go, okay, how do I solve this particular problem? And this is where a managed container platform engineering service provides that capability for you to be able to bridge that gap so you can start quick and get results easy, and then also not be afraid if something goes wrong. So we take a look at what is managed container platform engineering. When it comes to Crossvale, we have a service called PodOps. So PodOps is the only complete SLA-based container platform engineering service on the market supporting OpenShift. There is a number of container as a service solutions out there that we also support, such as Rosa, ARO. We work in those container as a service solutions, but a managed container platform engineering solution goes way beyond that. Will lower your operating costs cheaper than you could do it yourself. Skill gap elimination, you never have to worry about the skill problem because there's a team that's dedicated to you that's focused on your environment. We have pre-built proactive issue detection and resolution that we bring to the table, deploying operators and have logging and monitoring, all pre-built, and continue to get evolved as new features come in new areas that we find out that we can help with. Guaranteed platform confidence. So we guarantee your success on this. Haven't had a customer fail yet. And dynamic workload tuning. So this is a big one where when you have new applications that are being onboarded, our team is engaging with the app dev team to be able to help the app dev team understand how we can tune that platform for them. 24/7, 365 in any environment support. When we look at this, we're providing platform confidence and workload excellence. If you take a look at the cluster as a service providers out there, you're getting basically patch and upgrade subscriptions, all part of this. They're gonna validate, hey, cluster's healthy, node's healthy. We're bringing to the table, you're not locked into a certain environment. You can run it anywhere. We help design, build, configure, and operationalize your environment. On the workload excellence, we're providing dynamic tuning, custom telemetry, workload onboarding support, as well as support on how to manage the resources. So we have a container GitOps solution also that we add on to this. If you have a lot of application development needs and you're not running a lot of COTS and you want to end up implementing the container GitOps, we have a solution to go along with that. But this gives you complete skill gap elimination with guaranteed success. So when it really comes down to it, the features, when we break this down into 3 different areas: operational onboarding, where the main benefits that you're getting from the operational onboarding of our solution is guaranteed stability of your platform, proactive maintenance, 24/7 guaranteed response times, KPIs to understand platform performance, integrated client security guidelines, collaboration with your stakeholders, as well as understanding of the product roadmap. So as new features will be coming out in the future, we're engaging with your team so that they understand how to use them. Platform confidence. So this is the cluster maintenance aspect of it. You don't need any subject matter experts. We will take care of that for you. 24/7 oversight. There's no late night platform fix-it calls. We're on it 24/7, 365. Upgrade at your own speed, validation of dependencies before upgrade. So sometimes when you go with container as a service providers, they force you to upgrade on their speed. We're able to modify to be able to work with you to make sure that you have validation of your dependencies before the upgrades. And basically just focus on the business value, not the platform skills, because we're providing the platform confidence as an extension of your operations arm or your operations team. And then workload excellence. This is really a big area you don't find anywhere else. In-depth dynamic tuning when workloads change. This is a huge factor on being able to get the most value out of your platform. Workload deployment oversight and platform support. Proven workload onboarding process to ensure success. Tools and experience to get to root cause so that we understand how to provide information back to your app dev team so that they can figure out how to tune their application to work best in the container environment. Configuration drift solved, as well as built-in safety net for rollbacks. All of this is features that are built in that we built over the years to be able to provide the best solution so that you can be confident that your container environment is working from immediately from day one. So how we work, Well, this is how, when you don't, how do you get this done when you currently don't have the skills, time, or budget? Well, from a time perspective, we have 4 easy steps to confidence. So number 1, if you have an existing environment, there's 2 different structures here, existing environment versus a new environment. So if you have an existing environment, we validate, qualify the type of container environment, your compliance requirements, organizational goals, security standards, meet our service requirements. This is a 1-hour call. We walk through with you to validate that what you're looking for and what we support fits. Number 2, we have an assessment. We run a 175-point assessment on your environment, provide comprehensive reporting, laying out the supportability and onboarding requirements. So this call normally is with platform admins that you currently have. Usually takes somewhere between 2 and 4 hours to go through all this. This is a very comprehensive report on what's going on in your environment. Agreement. At that point, we understand what needs to be changed. We understand your environment. We understand sizing. We understand all of the things that you're doing and not doing, so that we can put together the agreement, so that we can come up with what we're going to do from a PodOps solution together. We have standardized solutions around this that most people fit into. And then we also have consulting to be able to come in and help solve some of the problems where you may have some supportability issues that need to be adjusted. And then onboarding normally takes about 3 weeks, where we start once the agreement's signed and we start the onboarding, then we start the operational onboarding tasks, and we can work through what all those are. That's about a 3-week period. And then at that point, we have 100% ownership of your environment, where we are now abiding by the SLAs in our agreement. If you have a new environment, we first thing to do is idea use case. So what is it? You have a COTS solution, you have an app. What is it that you really need that needs to be containerized? The idea is here, start small to be able to simplify this new experience for you. And usually an easy way to do that is containerize COTS and drop that into an environment for you. Then we work through the design based off of what your use case is. So technical alignment on what that design is. We have a prescriptive approach for this, so we can solve this very, very easily for you with most prescriptive environment designs that we have. And then we also do a lot, custom stuff. If you have custom needs that we can customize, you don't even have to know what those custom needs are. You just have to tell us what your outcomes are that you're looking for, and we can help you solve that. Then agreement, as well as then the build that normally takes about 3 weeks. Customized builds could take longer than that as well. When we take a look at migrating COTS, so let's say your use case is, I have some COTS solutions I need to migrate. Well, we work with our customers in 4 different ways. Most of our customers have internal SMEs, so they already have a subject matter experts on this. Say IBM Maximo is an example of this. Many already have subject matter experts on this, and they need support on the migration into OpenShift. So what we're doing is we're providing platform support and the capability to engage with your SMEs to say, I can help you understand how this migration is going to work coming into OpenShift. COTS partner. We also engage, many will have a solution provider they're already working with that's an expert on whatever that COTS platform is. Well, we'll work with that partner to help them understand that migration. COTS vendor. So say you're working with IBM, you're working with Red Hat, you're working with Oracle, you're working with somebody that is a vendor that has a containerized solution. So we'll engage also with them to help support them on that migration. Or if you need a complete solution provider, Crossvale can come in and we can handle the migration for you. In some cases, they're migrations that we've done before. In other cases, there's a lot of different workloads that's out there. But we have a framework that we use to be able to validate the workload and be able to get that workload moved into OpenShift or a container environment. So when we talk about how do you get this done when you don't have the skills, time, or budget, well, budget is one of the things that we also are able to solve quite nicely for you. So what we do, this in most cases costs you less than an FTE. And especially if we're talking about you finding a full-time employee that is one of those high-level specialists, to get started, an example is on a 1-year PodOps solution. So you have a non-prod prod environment, 48 virtual CPUs, including the subs, the build, and 1 year of PodOps, where we're providing you with the onboarding and the platform maintenance, as well as the dynamic tuning, all the things that we went through earlier. You're talking about 131K, including the subscriptions for the platform. The only thing you would be providing is the infrastructure. Run this on-prem, run this in Azure, run it in AWS, actually use Rosa, many different ways, however you want to run it. We can work in any environment. We've deployed into IBM Power. So another example, take over, you have a current environment, you have 288 virtual CPUs. You already own your subscriptions that you've bought through a different provider. So we come in, do the assessment, help remediate the assessment, 1 year PodOps, 24/7, you're talking 193K. So again, this is about the same thing as if you went out there and you're looking for an FTE today. Well, you can bring PodOps in, and now you have a whole entire team that's watching your environment 24/7, 365, instead of just hiring one FTE. So it's a huge advantage for you to implement this solution as part of your operations solution with your current operations team. Now, let's say you have many apps, a use case where you have many apps. You need a custom platform build. You need to have custom GitOps. We're looking at a couple 100K probably for your build, for your custom GitOps. Now, obviously, this is all customizable, so it could be less, it could be more, but we would help scope that for you, and we have some prescriptive scopes on how to help you with that. And say you have a 384 virtual CPU environment, so including running that environment, including the 1 year of subscriptions, as well as the 24/7 maintenance on it and the GitOps maintenance and support, you're looking at 420. So a couple FTEs. So the same type of thing here, like how many FTEs would you be using to support this type of solution? We have a team that is here that's helping you provide this. So very cost effective, and these guys are focused 100% on this stuff. This is not something that they're doing, as a side thing. So doing nothing is not an option. You have COTS. You may be interested in VMware reduction. There's things like RHEL and CentOS 7 end of life coming up. What are you doing with those environments? Are you moving those applications and moving them into a containerized environment? The inflection points are there. The decision just needs to be made to be able to actually start. And with a solution like PodOps, starting is super easy. You could start the process today, and you could be running stuff in your container environment within 1 quarter. You're up and going, ready to go. Some even sooner, faster than that. So our promise, we guarantee that our service will be available and accessible to you as per the agreed upon SLA. In the event of any unplanned downtime or service interruptions, we commit to resolving the issue promptly. If we fail to meet the uptime commitments outlined in the SLA, we provide you with the appropriate service credits as compensation. Never had to give anybody any service credits because we haven't missed SLAs. So next step, contact us today. Crossvale.com, go to contact. I'm sure we'll send out a follow-up email to you as well on with some materials on this. Do we have any questions in the Q&A? Let me see. Let me go over the Q&A. I don't see. If you can cover some aspect of differences between Linux VMs, Red Hat OpenShift, Elizabeth David, this would be good. Like reach out to us with any specific questions on that. I would bring one of my architects to the table to walk through some of the details, and that's a long answer that we would have there. I think that is it. So thank you everybody for attending today. I hope this was something that was providing you with value. If you have any questions at all, please respond on our follow-up email, or respond by reaching out at crossvale.com contact. and hope to see you in the future.